Can we talk that quiet?
I don't know. We might have to lean in.
We're at a camping site. We have to be quiet because
We're at a campsite. We've got to be quiet.
everybody else is still asleep. So, except for the birds. Really nice little spot.
Yeah, we found a good camp last night. So the other night, in our little haunted house, our little cave, little tent, we recorded a bit of an update, lessons learnt, things that surprised us over the first week.
Unscripted.
Yeah, unscripted, like this, a bit of a ramble.
Yeah.
So as a bit of a recap, we're doing a bit of an experiment here. Could all blow up in our faces, but we thought we'd just get rid of everything and try to live on our bikes for a while. We've done a lot of racing, bikepacking racing, unsupported racing stuff. So we thought we'd just extend the idea and try to live dangerously for a little while, where we're just living on the bike really, with not much of a safety net. Well, no safety net really, because we don't have a home to come back to.
No.
Home's here, wherever we make it. And so yeah, we thought we'd just try that out for a while. It's our little experiment.
It's just a little bit more context around the fact that we didn't just go, what do you want to do next week? Oh, screw it, let's just get rid of all our stuff without any planning. Sometimes, people assume that we, or the internet assumes that we haven't put too much thought into this, or we're going to starve in 6 months because we don't have jobs anymore, and all that kind of riffraff. But this is something we've been talking about for a couple of years, and probably would have happened a lot sooner if we didn't have a bunch of stuff going on that had to be sorted first. We also had to be in the right state of mind.
Yeah.
This is not something you like I said, you don't just go out and throw yourself into this. It takes time and planning, and we did that. We worked out what we needed. We worked out basic budgets on our ingoings and our outgoings and all that kind of stuff, and we're still figuring it out.
It's all part of the
monitoring.
learning. So we're it's a bit of an experiment to see how we go. We're not just pissing around, we're trying to work along the way as well, because we don't really have any money. So we're trying to work on the way. I'm spending 2 days a week bunkered down somewhere working on previous stuff that I've worked on for a few years, and Tiff's trying to
I go out and spend money on those 2 days. I get my hair done, as you can see. My nail gets painted.
Yeah. So no, we just wanted to provide a bit of context. So it's and it sounds great. Jump on a bike and just live on your bike, and that's going to be great. But it's taken quite a bit of adjustment, and we're still adjusting to it. Still working through a few things, trying to modify kit and make things work better and so on. So, how about we just rewind a bit?
Yeah.
To a couple of nights ago.
Yeah.
Last night? Night before?
2 nights ago.
2 nights ago.
Yeah.
And see what we had to say.
Yeah. And do the outtake.
All right. So we thought we'd do our 1 week in.
Yeah.
Our learnings.
Yeah.
So we've gone from the beautiful world of Instagram, where everything's pristine, perfect.
Everybody's having a nice time riding bikes.
And here we are in the ugly reality of YouTube. Is that right?
Yeah.
We've got a pretty pro setup tonight with some professional lighting. Teeps, you want to just show the lighting? So that's an exposure joystick light wedged between 2 of my toes. And we're here in our home.
Yep.
We've got the condensation layer up. The Cloudburst Tarptent Cloudburst 3.
This is all our stuff.
We've got all our stuff in here.
My enormous pillow.
So yeah, we thought we'd do a bit of a week 1 week in, learning. So just to recap, what did we do, Teef? Before we left, we got rid of everything.
We got rid of everything, so we gave away any hope of getting out of this.
No safety net. So we kind of got rid of everything and thought we'd just experiment with living on the bike for a while. we were kind of jealous of a lot of our friends and people who we knew who've gone on longer tours. Duration, haven't had that time pressure to be anywhere. We've done a lot of racing in the past, but we haven't done a lot of touring. Teef's arms already.
Sorry, I'm struggling to hold the camera. I've
So,
got
yeah,
cyclist arms.
We thought we'd just try living on our bikes for a while. So
Yep.
we packed up everything we own onto our bikes and off we went.
That we chose to keep, yeah.
So we started off with we're starting with this recce of the Race to the Rock route for this year.
Going really well.
Yeah, it's going great. More on that later. But yeah, we thought we'd just recap because it's not we've spoken to a lot of people. Teef has as well. Teef's a
Yep.
very social creature. I'm not. So she's spoken to a lot of people about how they've adjusted. So there's an adjustment period. So we're here in a tent, right? We're not in a comfortable bed in a house somewhere.
No.
We're in a tent. So there's an adjustment period. So we've been going through that.
We still are.
And we still are. So maybe let's just launch into it, Teef. We haven't planned this at all. This is just completely off the cuff.
Yep.
Yeah. What are
Nothing
your
written
thoughts?
down, no dot points.
What are your thoughts, Teef?
I'll talk about my experience, not ours, maybe, to begin with, or my feelings. I've struggled a lot in the last week. The bikes are really heavy.
Everything you own on it, dude.
Yeah, it's at first it's like, oh wow, you're like this cannonball. You gain a bit of speed and you have some momentum. You can just crush headwinds. But climbing and maneuvering and getting over the rough stuff, they take a lot out of you. And there's been I think there's been an adjustment physically, energy wise. We're not doing 200 kilometre days. Some days we've done maybe 40k or 50k. Everything feels like double. So if you're climbing like 1,000 metres, it feels like 2,000, or 5% incline feels like a 10% incline, and so on. But I think for me, the biggest challenge for me this last week is knowing I don't have that safety net I've had my whole life. So I can go and do a race, or I can go on holiday. I can go away for 2 weeks or whatever it is. But as loud as I can be and whatnot, I like to recharge at home. Home's like a safety net for me. So I felt like that's been shaken a little bit in this last week, and I haven't had that outlet. So if I've been really tired and a little bit frustrated, I know they seem like minor things, but for me, there's always been that kind of safety net. And my new safety net has been a tent. And I've had a lot of trouble adjusting to the sleeping arrangements. I think we both are in some respect. You're getting better at it. I'm not. I've had a lot of trouble with inflatable mats, and I have an enormous he's getting there. So
Look at what Teef has.
this is not. I'm not carrying this on the bike.
It doesn't even fit in the tent.
So I've been asking people for recommendations on pillows, and because I just can't handle the inflatable pillow. So someone suggested a memory foam pillow and cut it down to a quarter. So I'm cutting it down to a quarter before we leave, but I figured because we haven't left yet, I'm going to sleep with it full size just for a couple of nights.
Hopefully it gets her some sleep.
I've been sleeping better. But I'll be honest, I hit a bit of a wall at the end of last week where I just felt I was very wound up from a lot of nights of not sleeping because of adjusting and just learning to carry that load on the bike. And it's all new. I'm not saying for a second that I haven't enjoyed what we're doing. It's an adjustment. It's very different. Like you are flipping your whole lifestyle on its head for what you thought it was, or what it was. Sorry. But it's getting easier. It's getting easier each day. Like we had a lot of. I think we were both very tired in the first week. Not so much from the riding, but managing the new routines. Like you would get up in the morning, you're like, okay, so we're gonna make coffee and make breakfast, not the way that I used to, and then you get on the bike and, sorry, my arms are really tired.
Yeah, it's like
thank you.
they'll think that we're drunk. We're not. We don't have
we
enough
can't
money.
afford
We can't
alcohol.
afford that.
Yeah, when we drink the metho that we don't cook with. Yeah, so there was a lot of energy kind of chewed up with this newfound routine. So, at the end of the night, we finished the ride and then we'd be like, oh, we've got to set up the tent and what are we going to do for dinner? Have we got enough for dinner? Do we need to get more? And then we have to work out how to cook our meals and then we're like, oh, we've got to respond to comments on social media or do this and that. And then next minute you're exhausted. And it felt like there wasn't room to kind of factor in a few other things that I wanted to do through the week. So we kind of took our foot off the gas as far as thinking that we had to do stuff within a certain time frame. Like we had to do X amount of kilometers a day. We had to achieve this distance by the end of the week, and juggling that with our new day-to-day routine and still having to do work for you remotely mainly, and I'm working on other forms of generating income. It just we had to kind of reset our way of thinking that we have all the time that we need. We don't have to be anywhere tomorrow or 2 days from now. We just need to kind of slow down and enjoy what we're doing whilst we're working it out. Maybe you can say something.
No, the thing for me was initially we're just trying to do too much. The first part of this is doing a recce of the Race the Rock route, and it's just been a really rough wet season up here. So probably tried 20 different options. So we're out there riding all day, and then I'm getting home. I'll getting the camp set up at night. We get set up and we have dinner and all that sort of stuff, and then I've got to work through into the night to try to work out what the plan is for the next day, sort out other options. And yeah, so it was really kind of tough. So kind of took the pressure off, and went, okay, well, we're not going to get that done by the end of June because the weather situation's just been crazy.
It continues to be.
And yeah, it continues to be. So took the foot off the gas a bit.
Sorry.
Eased the pressure.
Camera swap.
Eased the pressure on that. So that was good. So it's really, it sounds silly, but you can try to do way too much. So with the whole recce stuff, it was difficult. So it was out of Cairns. It turned out the Lake Morris Road was shut. It turned out that options into Cairns weren't great. It turned out that Black Mountain Road, the mountain bike section on the old road, was just grown over and crazy.
Lots of way to wild vines.
Turned out even the more trafficable options are closed with bridges out and rivers are super high.
Yeah.
And yeah, then looking forward on the course, there's just over the next few days of planned riding, there's more closures, and they'll probably ease up in mid-June. So we're probably going to have to just take a breather and go for a bit of a tour somewhere else, try to find somewhere to live reasonably cheaply for a bit, and then come back and resume the recce ride mid-June, I think, when things are a bit clearer. But yeah, so that was a bit of an adjustment, having to try to. It felt like, it was just too much work, a lot of stress actually, just trying to fit all that stuff in.
Caravan parks got to know us pretty well.
Oh yeah, we've just
kept
been
riding back and forth between the
Kuranda
same
and
two.
Maroubra. Yeah, it's different too.
Hey, we're back.
When you're racing, you're just riding around in a bivvy. You just sleep on the ground for a couple of hours and tear off. And when you're just going out for weekend trips, that's easy. But if you're carrying your whole life with you and you've got a tent set up and you're trying to live, you can't do it that way. It's a bit in built-up areas as well where we are. It's harder to find. Areas to camp where you're not going to get hassled too much. So yeah, that's been one learning. The other thing for me is it's been, we're trying to use different sort of stuff too. So we've got these inflatable mats that we haven't really used much in the past, and we've got inflatable pillows. But when we're racing, we just use a bit of closed cell foam and
Ground.
And maybe some clothes through pillow. And that, to be honest, that's probably going to work better for us, so we might have to revert to that sort of option and see how that goes.
The tent's awesome though.
Yeah, the tent's been great.
Tent.
Look, there's lots of stuff that has been working well, but we won't talk about that just yet. The other thing that I've found an interesting adjustment to is, for whatever reason in the past, I've been lucky. I haven't had to sort of worry too much about money day to day, week to week. You can just, go and have a few beers if you want to, might eat out for dinner or something like that. But now we don't have any money anymore through bad people, bad decisions, and everything.
We don't
we don't actually have any money. But so we're not just pissing around riding bikes. We're trying to build this Race the Rock course. We're trying to do other stuff with bike touring and build resources there. And to try to fund that, we have to work as well. So I'm working 2 days a week. So we'll try to find somewhere where I can stop for 2 days and work. So usually it's been the Mariba Public Library today. And so, but still, that's not a lot of income. But then you don't need a lot of income when you're riding bikes everywhere and living pretty basically. But even still, that's been a bit of a stress for me, trying to work out how much money we actually need and how much money we're using for food and for accommodation and that sort of thing, especially where we can't just free camp everywhere at the moment. We will be able to do that a bit later when we get into more remote areas, but in built-up areas, it's a bit harder. Sorry, I'll take that. So that whole thing about money has been a bit of an adjustment for me, and I'm still pretty stressed about that. T's probably had a bit more experience.
I've always been broke, so I'm just like, oh, okay, we've got no money. Okay.
But yeah, so I suppose we're just monitoring things over a few weeks, and we'll see how we go in terms of spending, and we'll just keep tracking it that way.
My nails. I don't get to paint my nails. This is like the last of what was left from Melbourne.
So that's part of your adjustment.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, so that's taken a bit of adjustment. Obviously, the bikes, riding, we used to riding sort of bikepacking, super light race setups, but we're carrying everything now.
When you think about the race setup, sorry to butt in, like to someone that doesn't even race, like uses a lightweight race setup, our racing setup would feel heavy. So looking back at our race setup now, it's just like, that is just like super light compared to what we're feeling now. You just, any incline, it's just like click, 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 down to the biggest gear that you've got, or smallest gear.
Yeah, easiest.
Easiest, yeah.
So we've been, adjusting to riding the bikes, and look, we'll get stronger. We know that that's going to happen, but we don't have to do huge days or anything like that, but we might want to further down the track. In the remote areas, we'll probably have to, in terms of resupply and so on, because, it's not, we don't really want to be carrying 30 litres of water. We probably carry a bit less and try to move a bit faster. But yeah, riding the heavy bikes is actually pretty cool. Like in some ways it's a lot easier. Teef might beg to differ, but a heavy bike is just planted on the ground. It's just incredible.
Traction.
It's just planted to the ground. So you can ride up anything on these things, like out of the saddle. Don't worry about spinning your rear wheel or anything like that, especially we're riding 3-inch tires as well. So you just plant it on the ground. So you ride up walls pretty much.
I'm getting up stuff I would never be able to climb on my regular setup. I would just be spinning out from lack of traction. You're literally sinking into the ground with these bikes. It's kind of cool for that.
Yeah, so you can just get up pretty much anything, which is rad.
And fall down descents.
Yeah, going downhill is tough. So hiker bike stuff is kind of hard because you got to lug your bike over everything. It's new stuff for us. It's nothing new, right? But there's no surprises. People who ride around with 4 panniers and like a lot of stuff, and they've got to get over a fence or a gate, something like that. Well, you just take your bits off and chuck them over and get your bike over somehow. So it's that sort of thing, like learning different ways to get up super washed up hills and across river crossings and that sort of thing with a lot of stuff on your bike is there's been learnings there too. But I think there have been a lot of things that work pretty well.
Yeah, there's been some awesome stuff.
I think our cooking stuff's been really cool.
I've been enjoying it. It's just, we've simplified eating. We were simple eaters back at home anyway, but I think we've simplified it even more. we've got a nice little pantry set up that's got all different spices, and
Your pantry's working really well.
we've got chili and garlic
Chili,
and salt,
garlic
and
powder.
with a new addition of curry powder yesterday.
Yeah, new addition curry powder.
Mooch, nutritional
Nutritional
yeast,
yeast.
because they're vegan.
Yeah, stock cubes.
Stock.
Which is good.
But
A lot of couscous.
yeah,
A lot of veggies.
quick cook options. So
Yeah.
the old 2-minute noodles made a comeback the other day, minus the chicken sachets and all that. They've been really good.
Yeah. So I've been just buying some cheap veggies and that sort of thing that'll last a couple of days and cooking it up. I think the cooking setup's been pretty good too. So I did a bit of work to try to find out pots that would fit inside other pots and so on. So I've got a basic Trangia kit, but we eat quite a bit, so we needed a bigger pot. So we got one of these Furno ones that the Trangia actually fits inside of. So that's actually worked really well.
I like our little bowls and cups.
Yeah, one of the other hard things as well is it'd be great to just go out for a walk. But because we've got our whole lives on our bikes, you can't just do that. We don't want to risk that, so we haven't had the chance to lock them away anywhere really to go out for a walk and do that sort of thing.
We have
but
pretty
I suppose
flimsy locks too.
Yeah, pretty flimsy little locks. But I suppose when we get to more remote places, we can stash the bike somewhere and head out for a walk and do that sort of thing.
Just leave them on the side of the road.
Yeah.
No one's going to take them.
Exactly. There won't be anyone there anyway.
No, they're not going to swap it out for their car.
But yeah, I think the 3-inch tyres have been working really well, especially with the load. It's just those bikes with titanium frames and those 3-inch tyres, it's like riding a short travel dually. It's really cool. But yeah, in terms of learning, it's just I guess we've been settling in, feeling pretty tired. I guess more tired than normal. I think Teef in particular has been struggling with sleep, which has made things made it stressed her out a bit, I guess. Of course, when Teef gets stressed, she doesn't stay quiet about it, that's for sure. But I think it's all an experiment. We're just trying this out to see how it goes. That's part of the fun. We've done a lot of stuff where we've kind of been a bit uncomfortable and we've tried to work it out and to see how it all works. So this is another little experiment to see how we go, you know.
We've done some awesome riding already. I know we've done a few circles and we've reridden a few roads.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit, maybe.
The Race to the Rock route?
Yeah, the riding.
So at the start of our week's riding, we started just out of Port Douglas and did the bump track, which is traditionally a downhill track.
But before that, idyllic riding on 4 Mile Beach, pretty spectacular. We're like grots on bikes, you know, weaving in between the millionaires.
Who didn't have anywhere to sleep the night before due to bad planning.
So that was beautiful to start with. And then bump track, which is we rode it downhill and then we rode it uphill as well. But yeah you're going into the rainforest, up into the rainforest, Black Mountain Road.
It was so cool. Outside of all the mud pits that we did do a little bit of video on and took a few photos, they were very small stretches. There was 2 in particular where we were wading through it, and then a few other slippery patches. But for the rest of it, it was stunning. It was really beautiful riding when you're dodging way to wild vines and poisonous plants and birds that can high kick you in the guts.
Yeah, we've got to know a few of the local fun things.
Yeah.
But it's just stuff that we're not familiar with. But we're used to other dangerous stuff. But yeah, up here you've got way to wild vines that we've covered previously. They'll just rip you to shreds.
Cassowaries. Look
up cassowaries. They're great fun too.
Yep.
You don't to save yourself some time. Just look up world's most deadly bird.
World's deadliest bird.
And then you'll find cassowaries that way too. But yeah, stinging tree. Look up stinging tree too. Look up crocodiles if you haven't heard of them. What else? Those bloody dinosaur lizard things that think you're a tree and they'll climb up you if you're not too careful. Those big monitor lizards. You've got snakes and all that sort of thing. Oh yeah, we've got some great cockroaches as well. Pigs as well, feral pigs.
Oh, we saw some,
So
there's been some cool birds though, like ones that don't kill you. You know, the giraffe, sky giraffe.
Yeah, there's been some nice birds.
Egret.
Yeah, but there's been some fantastic riding through the rainforest. If you ever find yourself stuck up between Port Douglas and Cairns, check out Black Mountain Road. for some gravel riding. It's beautiful.
Quades.
Quades Road as well. That was an interesting one. That's like a abandoned highway that's just like nothing I've ever seen. It's a bitumen road with overtaking lanes and everything heading up into the hills.
Cars have no access to
you
it,
can't
so
get
you
on
can
it.
do whatever you want. Yeah.
So it's just bizarre. Apparently all the local pot dealers use it though, somehow. Anyway, there's so much good riding up this way. Yeah, nice weather mostly, blue skies,
Avocados,
high 20s.
so cheap.
Cheap avocados, fruit and veg,
bananas
vans on the side of the road,
Yeah.
good fruit. So yeah, it's a good part of the world to be in at this time of year.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's wrap it up, Teef.
Yeah.
Okay.
Please stop talking.
That's it. Bye.
Yeah. Bye. Wow.
Another 20-minute ramble.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oscar-winning piece of art.
Yeah, maybe we should script these a bit better. Anyway.
No, off the, what is it, off the handle? Off the,
script these a bit better. Maybe script them.
script these a bit better.
Anyway.
Hanging out with Teef too much.
Sorry, Teef. You had some thoughts having watched that
No.
in detail.
Yeah, I know. We don't watch our own videos a lot. Something I think it's worth also just touching on, just with, I guess, some of the internet's comments and whatnot, is I was around, obviously, this isn't saying what we're doing is the right thing for everyone. You know, each their own. Like some people take short trips, some people take long trips. We're not saying that, you know, giving everything up and living this way is what everybody should do. And
it's probably not what we should do either. We haven't worked it out yet, as you can tell.
So, yeah.
But no, we're just having, it's just a bit of an experiment, really.
Yeah, exactly. So, and there's plenty of ways that people can take trips like ours, whether you've got a family or all that kind of stuff. But this is just what works for us at the moment, or is we're trying to figure out. So, yeah.
And I'm sure a lot of people have probably thought of, you know, hitting the road and living on their bike for a bit. So, I don't know, maybe we can help show you what it's like, warts and all.
Yeah, so we're going to show you the rough stuff and the fun stuff. So
yeah, who knows? I think we're settling down a bit. Teef slept. Oh look, update on the foam, memory foam pillow. Yeah, she slept like a dream. My thermarest blew up last night, so that's really good.
Them are not best.
Them are not best. Anyway, so we're still learning along the way. Yeah, as I said, just an experiment to see if we can live on our bikes for a while. And yeah, we always like to try to do things that scare us a little bit and try to learn from them. So yeah, we'll see how we go. We'll check in maybe in a couple of weeks to see how we're settling
after
in.
a month or so. Yeah.
Okay, Teef, that's enough for today.
Yeah. Coffee.